Will the constant stream of Red Sox injuries ever end? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. The Boston Red Sox are on a tear right now. They are one of the best teams in baseball currently, but they have been dealing with a lot of injuries so far this season. They have currently 10 players on the Red Sox IL. Now, granted, a couple of those guys are scheduled to come back within the next couple of days, but it feels like that list is ever growing, with another addition to add to that list today, this time coming from the middle infield of this Red Sox team, and this middle infield injury is going to be a bit of a hit to this Red Sox middle infield depth. So what we're going to talk about today is break down who was injured, what they went on to the IL for, what their timeline to come back could look like, and of course we're going to talk about how all of this is going to affect this 2023 Red Sox team. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by breaking down who was actually injured, what the injury was, and what the timetable looks like for his return before we get into how this is going to affect this Red Sox team. Right off the bat, the Red Sox have placed Christian Arroyo on the IL with a right hamstring strain. Now, for those of you who don't know, Christian Arroyo's actually been dealing with this injury basically the entire year. He was injured almost essentially right out of the gate in the 2023 season. He actually took a couple of days off at the beginning of the year to try and avoid an IL stint, and this is something Christian Arroyo wanted to try and do throughout the 2023 season. He mentioned before the season started that as a starter on this Red Sox team, one of his goals was trying to figure out which injuries he was able to play through and which injuries he actually needed to take time off for. So he did try and play through this right hamstring injury, but you could tell it was affecting him. His range was a bit smaller on the field, and in the batter's box, just running in general, it looked like he was in a lot of pain. Clearly, he or management or the training staff on this Red Sox team finally decided that, hey, Christian, this is enough. We need to get you off your feet and make sure that this injury does not become anything more serious. So they put him on the 10-day IL. Now, in terms of the actual timetable for this injury, it doesn't seem like it's one that's super problematic, right? If he was able to play through it for a pretty decent amount of time before he was finally placed on the IL, this should be something that Christian Arroyo should be able to get over during those 10 days. So in my opinion, this doesn't look like it's going to end up as an extended stay on the IL with this Red Sox team, but either way, it got to a point for Christian Arroyo where that he decided, or management decided, or training decided that, hey, look, we need to get you off your feet, we need to get this injury fixed and ready to go so that you don't end up with an extended stay on the IL. And now some of you may be thinking, what does it matter, right? Christian Arroyo has had a really tough season so far, and he did get off to a slow start, but this is going to be an impact on this Red Sox team because he's been a big contributor to this Red Sox success, especially over their winning streak. So far this year, Christian Arroyo has a 257 average with a 295 on base percentage and a 660 OPS, which equals a 78 OPS plus, about 22% less productive than the average player in baseball. But again, he got off to a really slow start and has been rapidly picking things up, especially during the last 8 games of this Red Sox winning streak, because in those 8 games, Christian Arroyo was hitting a wild 500 average with a 556 on base percentage and an 813 slug with a 1.368 OPS. He also has 2 doubles, a home run, and 7 RBIs in that span. He was giving the Red Sox a lot of production from the bottom half of this lineup. He was a guy who was driving runners in, especially those really hot guys at the top of their order, and he was a guy who was flipping the lineup over and getting to some of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. Christian Arroyo was truly a huge contributor and a huge factor of this Red Sox latest successful run, and it's going to be a bit of a hit on this Red Sox team offensively. Now, defensively, it's also going to be a bit of a hit, right? Christian Arroyo wasn't having the greatest year defensively, but I think a lot of that did have to do with the fact that his range has been limited due to his right hamstring injury. But either way, when you're looking at the middle infield for this Red Sox team, Kike's been making these circus-like catches and circus-like plays, but routine plays have been a bit of an issue for him, especially trying to figure out his aim and throws to first base. Christian Arroyo was a solid second baseman, and a guy who we knew, at least at the bare minimum, was always going to make those routine plays. So yeah, Christian Arroyo going down is going to affect this Red Sox team all over the place. The good news is that, again, this probably shouldn't be a long-term thing for Christian Arroyo on the injured list. Just a couple of days off his feet, try and get that hamstring back, and good to go. To replace Christian Arroyo on this Red Sox roster, we get to see the return of Bob Stop. That's right, the Red Sox have recalled Bobby Dalbec, utility man extraordinaire from AAA Worcester. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly how much playing time Bobby Dalbec is going to get, but he has been a bit hot in AAA lately. His average is still fairly low at 238, but he has a really high on-base percentage at 374 with a 475 slug and 4 home runs with 15 RBIs. Plus, he did go deep for the Woo Sox last night, and he has a 117 WRC plus at the AAA level, meaning that he's about 17% more productive at the plate right now at the AAA level than the average player in AAA. Now, at the major league level so far this year, Bobby Dalbec struggled a bit. He has a 222 average with a still impressive 364 on base percentage and a rough 222 slug, but that was only in 11 plate appearances. Now, the reason I say that Bobby Dalbec probably won't get a ton of playing time, especially at second base, is one, this is going to be a pretty quick stint for Christian Arroyo on the IL, and two, the Red Sox have Emmanuel Valdez at the major league level, who's been really productive, at least at the plate. Right now, Emmanuel Valdez is hitting 343 with a 361 on base percentage and a 987 OPS, which is a 134 OPS plus. So right now, Emmanuel Valdez is about 34% above league average production at the plate than the average player in baseball. Now, both of them aren't great defensively, right? Bobby Dalbec is super athletic, but he doesn't have a ton of experience being a second baseman, and Emmanuel Valdez has always been known as a guy who's going to give you below league average production on the field wherever he is. So if you have to choose between the two of these, obviously Emmanuel Valdez should be the guy who gets more playing time because he's been the one who's been more successful at the major league level, at least so far this year. So in my opinion, when it comes to replacing Christian Arroyo on this Red Sox team, the next man up is very clearly Emmanuel Valdez, which is going to make a bit of an imbalanced lineup for Alex Cora and the Boston Red Sox, which is probably why Bobby Dalbec was the choice. Bringing up Bobby Dalbec allows them to have a little bit of versatility on this Red Sox bench. He's a right-handed hitter who can play second base if needed, so we'll probably see Bobby Dalbec come into later halves of games and have Emmanuel Valdez start most of the games. In my opinion, with Christian Arroyo out for 10 total days, we're probably going to see one, maybe two starts from Bobby Dalbec in total, depending on how matchups go throughout this 10-day span, right? If they're facing a lefty, I could see a possibility of Bobby starting, but I could also see the Red Sox saying, hey, look, Emmanuel Valdez has been good for this Red Sox team. Let's give him a full opportunity to be a starter here. So I don't know if Bobby Dalbec's going to get a ton of playing time. This, in my opinion, was, again, more so a move for versatility than it was for a legitimate starting replacement for Christian Arroyo, who, again, was a major contributor to the success of this Red Sox team over this 8-game winning streak. So at the end of the day, we get to see the return of Bob Stop, but more importantly, we get to see Emmanuel Valdez actually become a legitimate starter for this Red Sox team, even if it is for a short period of time. So the silver lining in all of this is that the young kids are going to get the opportunity to shine, right? Emmanuel Valdez has been important for this Red Sox team, and now he gets the opportunity to show that, hey, look, I can be a regular contributor, again, over a short period of time in this Red Sox line. So I guess all in all, this isn't a huge deal, right? Christian Arroyo is going to go down. He's going to nurse that hamstring. He's going to make sure that he can be a regular starter on this Red Sox team. And we have a properly fitted backup replacement for Christian Arroyo who could end up hitting a little bit better than Christian Arroyo has at the plate so far this year. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of this injury? What do you think of Christian Arroyo going down? What do you think of his timeline coming back? What do you think of the Red Sox idea for replacing him? And what do you think of Bobby Dalbec coming back and joining this Red Sox team? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox injury news in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.